Well, I want to tell you a story today. It's just a short scene in the story of God who loves you and pursues you. It's from the Sacred Romance written by John Eldridge, but it's Kierkegaard's version of the story. It goes like this. Suppose there was a king who loved a humble maiden. The king was like no other king. Every statesman trembled before his power. No one dared breathe a word against him, for he had the strength to crush all opponents. And yet this mighty king was melted by the love for a humble maiden. How could he declare his love for her? In an odd sort of way, his kingliness tied his hands. If he brought her to the palace and crowned her head with jewels and clothed her body in royal robes, she would surely not resist. No one dared resist him. But would she love him? She would say she loved him, of course. But would she really? Or would she live with him in fear, nursing a private grief for the life she had left behind? Would she be happy at his side? How could he know if he rode to her forest cottage in his royal carriage with an armed escort, waving bright banners? That too would overwhelm her. He did not want a cringing subject. He wanted a lover, an equal. He wanted her to forget that he was a king and she was a humble maiden, and to let shared love cross the gulf between them. For it is only in love that the unequal can be made equal. So the king, he clothes himself as a beggar and renounces his throne in order to win her hand. Wow. Jesus, clothed as a beggar, renounced his throne in order to win our hand, answering once and for all the question, what is God's heart toward me? Well, Romans says, but God demonstrate his own love toward us while we were still sinners. Christ died for us. God is the one pursuing us. He is the lover of our souls. He is our king that gave his life to be with his maiden. When we feel that life is up to us, it becomes exhausting, unbearable somehow. When we are the main character, the world is so small. There's barely enough room to move. It frees our souls to know that we're invited into something much larger than ourselves, a bigger story. Somehow then we can tolerate the arrows that are sent our way in life. We find it easier to duck rather than feeling like a sitting duck when we see that God is the hero of the story and consider that he wants for us. We know one thing is for certain, that we affect him, that the most important belief we possess is true knowledge of who God is, and then it helps us accept what he does. And the second most important belief is who we are as children of God. We're pursued and we're loved by a great king. God runs to us. He pursues us. So what's your response to this kind of God, the lover of your soul? Turn and run toward him, because that's courageous living.